Welcome back to Daily English Podcast. Let's improve your English together. Hello, everyone. Welcome back.
Do people ask you to repeat when you speak English?
Or maybe they understand you, but not clearly.
Today we're going to show you how to fix your accent, step by step.
Not perfect, but clear, natural, and confident.
Let's start with something important. Most people think their problem is their accent.
Yes, they say things like, my accent is bad, I need to fix it.
But that's not really the problem.
Exactly, because everyone has an accent.
Even native speakers have different accents. American, British, Australian, they all sound different.
So having an accent is completely normal.
The real question is not, do you have an accent?
The real question is, can people understand you easily?
That's the key.
Because sometimes people understand you, but they need more time.
Or they ask you to repeat.
Or they say, sorry, can you say that again?
And after a few times, it becomes frustrating.
Not just for them, but for you too.
You start to feel uncomfortable.
And then you speak less.
Or you avoid speaking completely.
And that's where the real problem begins.
So let's be clear. The problem is not your accent. Do people ask you to repeat when you speak English?
When your sounds are not clear,
Words become confusing.
even simple words can sound different.
For example, sheet and seat.
Or live and leave.
Small difference, big confusion. And the interesting thing is, most learners don't even notice these small differences at first. They feel like they are saying the word correctly. But to the listener, it sounds like a completely different word.
Exactly. Because when you learn English, you usually focus on vocabulary and grammar. You learn new words. You learn sentence structures. But pronunciation is often something people don't really train deeply. So what happens is, you know the word in your head, but when you say it, the sound is slightly off.
And that small off sound changes everything. It's not about being totally wrong. It's about being just a little unclear. And that's actually more dangerous because you think you're correct, but communication still breaks.
Right. And over time, this creates a pattern. You keep repeating the same sounds in the same way, and your brain gets used to it. So even when you hear the correct pronunciation later, it feels strange.
Yes, and that's why some learners say, I understand everything when I listen, but when I speak, it sounds different. That gap between understanding and speaking is usually a sound problem.
And the good news is, this is fixable. But not by memorizing more words, not by studying more grammar. It's fixed by training your mouth, your ears, and your rhythm.
Think about it like training a muscle. At the beginning, it feels unnatural. You have to slow down, focus, and repeat. But after some time, your mouth starts to move more naturally.
And that's when things start to change. People understand you faster. Conversations become smoother. And you don't feel that pressure anymore when you speak.
Also, your confidence grows naturally. Because confidence doesn't come from perfect English. It comes from being understood without effort.
Exactly, Lauren. When you don't have to repeat yourself, when people respond immediately, your brain relaxes. And when you are relaxed, your speech becomes even better.
So instead of trying to fix your accent completely, we're going to do something smarter.
We're going to focus on clarity, on the small details that make a big difference.
Because once your sounds are clear, your accent becomes something positive, not a problem.
It becomes part of your identity, not a barrier.
And that's a big shift, because now you're not trying to sound like someone else. You're just trying to communicate clearly as yourself.
So from this point, everything we show you will be simple, practical, and focused on real speaking.
No complicated rules, no pressure.
Just small changes that you can start using immediately.
And you'll start noticing the difference. Not in months, but in days. And that's actually very motivating because when you see even a small improvement quickly, you start to believe that change is possible.
Yes, and that belief is important because a lot of people feel stuck for a long time. They think, I've been learning English for years. Why am I still not comfortable speaking? But the truth is, sometimes they were just focusing on the wrong things.
Exactly, Michael. They were working hard, but not in the right direction. And when you shift your focus just a little bit, when you start paying attention to clarity instead of perfection, everything begins to feel lighter.
And more natural, because now you're not trying to sound like someone else. You're not forcing an accent. You're just improving how you speak, step by step.
And that's why this process feels different. It's not stressful. It's not overwhelming. It's actually quite simple when you break it down.
Right. And once you understand that, the next step becomes much easier to accept.
Yes, because now you're ready to actually change something in your speaking.
Not everything at once, just one thing.
A small change, but a very powerful one. And the reason it's powerful is because it affects everything else in your speech. Your pronunciation, your confidence, even your thinking speed. All of it starts to improve when you control this one thing.
Yes, and the interesting part is, most people already know this, but they don't apply it. They've heard slow down before, but in real conversations, they forget. Because there's pressure. There's that feeling of, I need to respond quickly. And that pressure pushes you to speak faster than your comfort zone. And when that happens, your clarity drops immediately.
Your sounds become weaker, your words start to connect too much. And sometimes, even you don't feel confident about what you just said.
Well said, Lauren. You finish your sentence and think, did that sound okay? And that doubt affects your next sentence too.
So it becomes a cycle. You rush, you feel unclear, you lose confidence, and then you rush even more.
And what we're doing here is breaking that cycle.
And by the way, if you're enjoying this video so far, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We share simple and practical English lessons every week to help you speak more clearly and confidently.
All right, let's continue. And what we're doing here is breaking that cycle. Because if you don't stop it, it just keeps repeating itself. You rush, you feel unclear, you lose confidence, and then the next time you rush even more without realizing it.
Yes, and over time, that becomes your default way of speaking. You don't even notice it anymore. It just feels normal, even though it's actually holding you back.
Exactly. And that's why many people feel stuck. Not because they don't know English, but because they are repeating the same speaking habits again and again.
So what we're doing here is very intentional. We're not adding more pressure. We're removing it. We're slowing things down so you can actually take control of how you speak.
And once you take that control back, everything starts to feel different. You're not reacting anymore. You're choosing how you speak.
You're giving yourself time. Time to think. Time to pronounce. Time to express your idea clearly.
And that small shift changes the whole experience of speaking English.
And that small shift changes the whole experience of speaking English.
Yeah, actually, I remember a story about this. I had a friend, he moved to the U.S. a few years ago. His English was good, honestly. He knew a lot of words, his grammar was fine, but every time he spoke, people kept asking him to repeat.
So the problem wasn't his level.
Not at all. The problem was his speed. He was speaking too fast, trying to sound fluent, and everything came out connected, unclear. And after a while, he got really frustrated. He started thinking, maybe my English is just not good enough.
Yeah, that feeling is very common.
So one day I told him something very simple. I said, don't change your words. Don't learn anything new. Just slow down a little.
Just that.
Just that. And at first he didn't like it. He said, I feel weird. I sound slow. But I told him, try it for a few days. Just observe what happens. After a few days, he came back and said, something changed. People understood him faster. No one was asking him to repeat anymore. And the best part? He felt more relaxed while speaking.
That's a big shift.
Exactly. Nothing about his English level changed. Same vocabulary, same grammar, just one small adjustment. But the result was completely different.
That really shows how powerful this is.
Yeah, sometimes it's not about doing more. It's about doing one thing differently. And in this case, that one thing is your speaking speed.
Yes, because this is where most people don't pay attention. They focus on what they say, but not how they say it.
Exactly. And when you ignore how you speak, even correct sentences can sound unclear.
So let's focus on this for a moment. When you speak English, do you feel like you're trying to speak fast?
Most people do, because in their mind, fast means fluent.
But in reality, fast often means messy.
You start connecting words too much. You skip sounds without noticing.
And your pronunciation becomes weaker. And the problem is, you don't realize it while you're speaking.
Because in your head, everything sounds correct. But for the listener, it's not as clear. So they need more effort to understand you.
Sometimes they guess, sometimes they ask you to repeat, and sometimes they just stop trying to understand.
And that's frustrating. Not because your English is bad, but because your message is not coming through clearly.
So instead of pushing yourself to speak faster, we're going to do something smarter. We're going to slow things down, just enough to take control.
And this is important. This is not about speaking like a robot.
No, not at all.
It's about being intentional, about giving space to your words.
When you slow down slightly, you start to hear your own pronunciation.
You notice your sounds more clearly, and you have time to fix them while speaking.
Let's take a simple sentence. I want to order a coffee. If you say it too fast, it would be, I want to order a coffee.
It becomes one long sound.
But if you slow it down just a little,
I want to order a coffee.
now every word is clear. And here's the key. You don't need to stay this slow forever.
This is training. You're building control.
Once you have that control, you can naturally become faster again.
But this time, without losing clarity. And that's the difference. Not fast and unclear, but controlled and clear.
And when people understand you easily, everything changes. Conversations become smoother. You feel more confident.
And most importantly, you start enjoying speaking English.
And when people understand you easily, everything changes. Conversations become smoother, and you feel more confident. Exactly. And once you have that control over your speed, we can move to the next important step. Because now, you're ready for it. You're not rushing anymore. You're more aware of how you speak. You feel more confident.
And that's the perfect moment to focus on your sounds. Because at the end of the day, English is not just about words. It's about how those words sound. And this is where many learners struggle without realizing it. They read a word and pronounce it based on their own language.
Which is completely natural. But English doesn't always follow the same logic. Let's take a simple example. The word think. A lot of learners say tink, and it sounds very similar, but not the same.
And that small difference changes how clearly people understand you. Because English has sounds that don't exist in many languages, so your brain replaces them with something familiar.
But now you're aware of this, so you can start fixing it. Let's slow it down. V. Feel the air. Feel your tongue.
It's between your teeth, not behind, not touching the roof. At first it feels strange, maybe even uncomfortable.
But that's a good sign, because it means you're doing something new. And once you practice this slowly, you can start using it in words. Think. 3. But that's a good sign, because it means you're doing something new. And once you practice this slowly, you can start using it in words. Think. 3. And this is not just about one sound. There are many small sounds like this.
Like V and W, very and wary. Or short and long vowels, ship and sheep.
Again, small difference. Big confusion. But now you know what to focus on. Not everything at once. Just one sound at a time.
Practice slowly, repeat, and build control.
And once you start becoming aware of your sounds, the next step becomes much easier and much more powerful. Because now, you're ready to train your ear and your voice at the same time.
This is one of the fastest ways to improve your accent and sound more natural, but only if you do it the right way.
Because most people listen just to understand. They focus on meaning, which is good, but it's not enough.
Now we want you to listen differently. Not just what they say, but how they say it.
Pay attention to the rhythm, the stress, and the pauses.
For example, listen to this sentence. I really like this. Now, a lot of learners say it flat. I really like this. Every word sounds the same.
But natural English is not flat. Some words are stronger, some are softer.
So a native speaker might say, I really like this. You hear the difference?
That stress gives life to the sentence. It makes you sound more natural, instantly.
And this is where copying comes in. Don't just listen, repeat. Pause the video. Say the sentence out loud. Try to match the rhythm.
Not perfectly, but intentionally. At first, it might feel like acting, like you're imitating someone.
And this is where copying comes in. Don't just listen, repeat. Pause the video. Say the sentence out loud. Try to match the rhythm.
Again and again, until it becomes natural.
And you can do the same thing, even as an adult. Just take short sentences. Repeat them a few times. Focus on how they sound.
And over time, you'll notice something interesting. You'll start speaking more naturally, without thinking too much.
Your sentences will have rhythm. Your pronunciation will feel smoother.
And your confidence will grow. Because now, you're not just speaking English. You're sounding like English.
And once you start listening and copying like this, you begin to build awareness. You hear the rhythm. You notice the stress. And your speaking starts to improve naturally.
But there is one more step. And this one is a game changer.
Recording yourself while speaking English.
Recording yourself is one of the most powerful ways to improve your pronunciation, but also one of the most uncomfortable.
Yes, most people don't like hearing their own voice. It feels strange, sometimes even a little embarrassing.
But that's exactly why it works, because it shows you the truth.
When you speak, you don't hear yourself clearly. your brain kind of fixes the sound automatically. So you think everything sounds fine.
But when you record your voice and listen back, you hear it from the outside.
And suddenly, you notice things you never noticed before.
Your pronunciation, your speed, your clarity. And this is powerful because now you know exactly what to improve.
Not guessing, not hoping, but clearly hearing it. So let's keep it simple. You don't need anything complicated.
Take your phone, open the voice recorder, say a short sentence, something simple. For example, I want to improve my English. Record it once, then listen carefully.
Ask yourself, is it clear? Are the sounds strong? Is the speed controlled? Then compare it with a native speaker, maybe from a video.
Listen again and record again. Small changes every day. And over time, you will hear the difference.
Not just feel it, actually hear it. And that's when improvement becomes real, because now you are not just practicing, you are correcting.
And that's a big difference.
So today, we've covered a lot. We talked about slowing down, focusing on your sounds, listening and copying, and recording yourself.
And if you remember just one thing, you don't need a perfect accent. You just need to be clear.
Because when people understand you easily, everything changes. You feel more confident, you speak more naturally, and conversations become easier.
So don't wait to be perfect. Start speaking today. Slow, clear, and confident.
And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe. We share simple English lessons every week to help you speak better, step by step.
See you in the next lesson.
Take care, everyone. See you in the next podcast.